Government of Arunachal Pradesh.
Welcome, sirs. Welcome, madam.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, ma'am. And sir, it's 3 dot. I think we should start the proceedings with your permission.
Yeah, please.
Great. Thank you. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar on border tourism with the theme highlighting the potential of tourism in border districts of India. And the focus state in today's webinar is Arunachal Pradesh. And as we know that in India, improving socio-economic status of border districts, especially the aspirational districts, are one of the important priorities of Government of India. And these districts are very rich in recreational, cultural, and natural resources, and they provide a great potential for the development of border tourism. So PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry with this particular narrative aims to examine the tourism potential in the border districts of India, and also will be coming out with some of the white paper that will actually present the suggestions towards development of border tourism in India. And as we know that 18 Indian states and UT, they share their border with 7 neighboring countries and one district per state, majorly the aspirational district, and in some areas, some of the theme areas, they have been identified. And this webinar will highlight the need to promote tourism, also the education among the locals, and also how to develop the rudimentary tourism infrastructure in all these areas. So in this perspective, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry is organizing its first of its kind webinar series on border tourism. And in fact, this all came out while discussion with Ms. Rupinder Barar, ADG, Ministry of Tourism, wherein she only suggested that since aspirational districts is one of the important areas of Government of India focus, so why not to create some sort of, vibrancy in these areas so that we're actually able to uplift the socio-economic, status of the people there. So without any further ado, I'll request Mr. Pradeep Multani, Senior Vice President, PhD Chamber of Commerce Industry, to kindly start the proceedings with his welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jitendra. A very good afternoon to everyone. It is a privilege to welcome you all at the first of its kind Border Tourism webinar series. I'm extremely honored to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speakers. Ms. Rupinder Barar, IRS, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Mr. Abu Tayeng, Director, Tourism, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Ms. Ayushi Sudan, IAS, Deputy Commissioner, Anjaw District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Minga Sherpa, IAS, Deputy Commissioner, Dibang Valley District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Mito Dirchi, Deputy Commissioner, Shi Yomi District, Government of Uttaranchal Pradesh. Mr. Nirmalaya Chaudhary, Chairman, Northeast States Chapter, Indian Association of Tour Operators. Mr. Sudesh Podar, President, Hotel and Restaurant Association of Eastern India. Mr. Anil Parashar, Chairman, Tourism Committee of PhD Chambers. Mr. Rajan Sehgal, Co-Chairman, Tourism Committee of PhD CCI. It is a pleasure to have such a strong panel who are all experts in their areas, and we look forward to hear their expert views and learn from their experiences. I will begin with a brief introduction of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Established in 1905, PhD CCI has a legacy of 116 years, representing more than 150,000 industries and businesses from across the nation. PhD has created a niche for itself across the country through the excellent work done by expert committees, state chapters, international affairs committees, and foundations on various subjects of importance. PhD CCI is an apex national chamber with unique distinction, representing more than 200 regional chambers of commerce and trade associations, and reaches out to over 150,000 large, medium, and small-scale cross-sectoral companies serving the nation. Coming back to the subject, the concept of border tourism refers to the notion of visiting border areas in order to experience diverse cultures, acquiring knowledge for trade, or even meeting local communities who are living in border region. The problem of border districts and tourism development is recognized as an important challenge for local communities along the border. Although institutional environment and security barriers remain the stumbling block for entrepreneurial cooperation, Conditions for border tourism enhancement can be enabled through setting up of framework for easier cooperation of public, private, and civil actors. PhD CCI aims to explore the tourism potential in the border districts of India and moreover to present suggestions towards development of border tourism in India. The focus state for today, Arunachal Pradesh, is a land of abundant tourism opportunities. Adorned with unspoiled landscape, this northeast state of India is a place that every nature lover and explorer must and should visit. We have the presence of Arunachal Pradesh Tourism as well as the respective deputy commissioners of Anjaw, Dibang Valley, and Shi Yomi districts. I'm sure they will enlighten us with the tourism potential of these districts, which many of us may not even be aware of. We all are aware that the pandemic has caused disruption in the economy and different industries, but sectors like tourism, aviation, and hospitality are the worst hit. The tourism sector has faced severe challenges due to the pandemic, but it has also opened new opportunities for development and getting all the stakeholders together to fight against this situation. Although the reopening of industry will be tough and slow, we are optimistic on the bouncing back of tourism sector as it has the flexibility to come back really fast. As I was just mentioning to Ms. Rupinder, that in the north, places like Shimla, Nainital, Mussoorie, even Madam mentioned Leh, all these tourist spots are bustling totally here right now, and there are no rooms available whatsoever. Border tourism webinar series will continue, and PhD CCI would work towards showcasing the tourism potential of the diverse and untouched border districts of India. With this note, I would like to extend my warm greetings to those participating in today's webinar and wish it great success. Thank you. Jai Hind and God bless everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for laying the foundation of this first of its kind program on border tourism, wherein the focus state is Arunachal Pradesh. Now I'll request Mr. Anil Prashar, Chairman Tourism Committee, PhD Chamber of Commerce Industry, to kindly give the theme address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Madam Rupinder Barar, Additional Director, General Ministry of Tourism. Mr. Abu Tayang, Director Tourism, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Madam Ayushi Sudan, Deputy Commissioner, Anjaw District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Minga Sherpa, Deputy Commissioner, Dibang Valley District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Mito Dirchi, Deputy Commissioner, Shi Yomi District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Mr. Nirmalaya Chaudhary, Chairman Northeast States Chapter, Indian Association of Tour Operators. Mr. Sudesh Podar, President, Hotel and Restaurant Association of Eastern India. Our respected Senior Vice President, PhD Mr. Pradeep Multani. My colleague, Mr. Rajan Sehgal, Co-Chairman, and Dr. Jitendra Singh. On behalf of PhD, I am pleased to welcome all the dignitaries to this unique webinar on border tourism with state focus Arunachal Pradesh. India is the largest country in South Asia with varied topography. 18 Indian states and union territories share the border with 7 neighboring countries. The border destinations of India are rich in tourism potential, which are famous for the many historical monuments, mountain peaks, scenic beauty, wildlife, and local cultures. However, in spite of having sound tourism potential, the areas are also economically backward, and the local inhabitants are having low living standards and employment opportunities, resulting in lack of systematic processes and development. There are many challenges like gaps in knowledge and information about how a border area can become a tourist destination, gaps in accessibility, transport, and economic infrastructure that is required by tourists. The Tourism Committee of PhD will be conducting a series of webinars for all the 18 states and union territories in association with the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, thank you, Madam, and state tourism boards. One district per state, majorly aspirational district, has been identified, and each webinar will highlight the need to promote tourism education among locals and also to develop a rudimentary tourism infrastructure in that area. In my opinion, there is no better time for domestic tourism. Madam Barar touched upon this, our President, Mr. Bultani, touched upon this, that with international travel out of bounds and aspirational India's having deep desire to travel, the domestic tourism is bound to peak. Especially in pandemic, geographies untouched by population and chaos bring focus on border tourism. The largest of the seven sisters in the Northeast, Arunachal Pradesh, literally means the land of dawn-lit mountains. The virgin land beckons visitors with its verdant valleys, pristine water bodies, snow-peaked mountains, rich heritage, ancient monuments, and exotic tribes. The strait attracts visitors not just for natural beauty, but also promises to take the traveler on a spiritual journey. The districts of Anjaw, Dibang Valley, and Shiomi are accessible from Guwahati and Dibrugarh airports, with Shiomi having helicopter services and also wanting to start a small plane service soonest in their district. I see immediate opportunities in river tourism, trekking, wildlife, flora and fauna. And one question that I have, and I would want to learn more when we hear our esteemed panel of speakers present today, is this one question about the Arunachal work permit, which some tourists get a bit nervous about traveling, thinking there's going to be some complications about it. PhD is committed to create such meaningful platforms to do its bit, enabling all the parameters of tourism industries to grow and flourish. With this, I wish all the dignitaries the very best of the day, and thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for giving the theme address and also highlighting the important features in terms of connectivity and also the important landmark areas in Arunachal Pradesh. So I'll share a small presentation with you in terms of highlighting the important tourist place in Arunachal Pradesh with respect to border areas. And as we know that, I hope my slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we know that Arunachal Pradesh share borders with Bhutan, China, and Myanmar. And in this particular webinar, we are basically focusing on three important destinations, the Anjaw, Meshuka, and Anini. And as we know that there are around close to 14 border districts in Arunachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh being one of the largest states in Northeast region. And some of the important critical success factors of tourism in Arunachal Pradesh that we have found after even discussing with some of the stakeholders is, as we know that the state is blessed with scenic beauties, diverse cultures, delicious cuisines, and biodiversity. And being a large agrarian area, being a largest forest cover in entire state in terms of percentage, in entire, in fact, country, it is one of the important hotspots of global biodiversity. And there's also varied agroclimatic conditions which are very much suitable for horticulture of flowers, aromatic as well as medicinal plants. And much to this, Arunachal Pradesh is home to 600 species of orchids, or you can say 50% of the species of orchids which are known in India. So there's a huge potential for attracting tourists. And also the state has won the best emerging tourist destination in India award for 2019 and also the best emerging green destination of 2019. And also there's a tourist circuit of Namsai, Lohit, Anjaw, Lower Dibang Valley and Dibang Valley districts. It is in pipeline. The state government is creating a strong traction to actually get the clearance for this tourist circuit. The proposal is with Ministry of Tourism. And above that, there is also a strong pitch by the state government in terms of promoting tourism. There's a scheme known as Chief Minister's Paryetan Shiksha Yojana (CMPSY), in which the youth from hospitality sectors are sent to different reputed institutes for training so that they can first-hand experience and best of the training in terms of attracting and serving tourists in a more comprehensive manner. Then there is the Chief Minister's Paryetan Vikas Yojana, which is CMPVY, wherein it is a value-added subsidy scheme in which the funds are granted for opening homestays, for opening restaurants, bakeries, food courts, and also adventure sports. There's also a scheme by Chief Minister's Advanced Certificate course in tourism, wherein the youngsters they are given chance to get training and also education in allied sports and also adventure sports. And also one of the most important campaigns started by CM, that is the Dekho Apna Desh campaign, in which the local people they are actually encouraged to in fact visit different parts of their Arunachal Pradesh to actually see the biodiversity and the tourist attractions it has. And in fact, the district, as we are talking of three important focus destinations, they are the borders with China and Myanmar. And if we see in Anjaw, what are the most important features? There is a place, Kibithu. It is one of the remotest circle headquarters in Arunachal Pradesh. And it is the only circle headquarters which is facing a visible across vantage of international boundary in the Indo-China border. There's also a hot spring in Tilam. There's a Kaho. This is the last border village in the Indo-China border. There's also in Anja, there's a Namti Valley. As we know, the fiercest battle of 1962 was fought here by the Indian forces against the Chinese aggression into the valley. Area Dong, it is a snow-capped mountains and beautiful pine forest. It makes the place immensely inviting. There's also a Helmet Top. This is located just above the Nanti Plains, where a memorabilia stands, which dedicated to the memory of soldiers who actually lost their lives in 1962 war. In Anjaw, other areas like Wellong, there's a old Hawaii and Hawaii, the twin villages of Walla and Wetong, they offer a view into ethnic culture of the area. And in Hawaii, this is the district headquarters of Anjaw district. It is situated on the left bank of Lohit River. So you can see such a magnificent view, the aerial view we can see in the pic. And in Anjaw, there is also important destinations like Shelagam. It is known for the highest yield of cardamom production in the state. There is a Highland area. This place, it offers a beautiful view of the confluence of Lohit and Dalai rivers and is also adorned with mesmerizing natural beauty. Another area, Tedding, as one enters Anjaw district, this is the first major landmark. This is marked by a strong bridge which is laid over a very clear aquamarine running water of the Tedding River. The picture, in fact, it reveals everything, and immediately such a picturesque, district, it actually, compels everybody to immediately go and have a physical, view of all these picturesque locations. Then in Meshuka, Meshuka is a small town in the Meshuka Valley in Xiamen district. And after the Meshuka, the McMahon border separates Indian territory and Chinese territory. In fact, it's a must visiting place for all of us. And in Meshuka, some of the areas like monasteries, they are very famous. The oldest monastery is called as Samton Yangcha of the Mahayana sect, which is located at the hilltop in the westernmost part of the Meshuka. Also, Ne Pambusha, it's a pilgrimage palace known as the mediation place of the sixth rebirth of Guru Padma Samba. Also, there is a Siko Didu waterfall, and Meshika has also a lot of attractions for the tourists with its salubrious climate and Buddhist gompas, Gurdwara, and also hospitality for the local people. And we can see the dances and we can see the monastery. They are best of the things, we should go and visit there. In Meshuka, in fact, it is also famous for adventure sports. So every year in the month of November, the Department of Tourism, Government of Arunachal Pradesh organizes 3-day event that is adventure at Meshuka. And in this festival, one can enjoy different adventure sports activities like aero modeling, trap shooting, paragliding, mountain biking, rappelling, river crossing, and trekking. And now we come to the Anini. Anini is the headquarters of the Dibang Valley district, where the clouds actually come down to kiss the land, as it's visible in this picture itself. And in Anini, it is also marked by immense natural beauty, making it as a tourist paradise, which appears from the clouds itself. And it's basically a small underdeveloped town because of its remoteness, and but it still has basic road and air links to the rest of the India. So it's a place which can be, it's an approachable place. And the Idu Mishmi tribal people, they constitute a majority population here, and most of the Anini is located on a miniature plateau between two tributaries of the Dibang River, the Dry River, and the Mathun River. So, what are the challenges? In fact, we did the analysis like what are the reasons, what are the issues why this border tourism promotion needs a great and a very strong pitch. We see that there is some gap in knowledge and information that how a border area can become a tourist destination, because these border areas are the far-flung areas of the states. So in terms of the infrastructure, particularly road transport or other infrastructure in terms of traveling, it becomes somewhat a challenge. Therefore, a strong thrust is required to actually create this hard infrastructure. There's also some shortage in expertise in terms of existing networks and experience in collaborating on tourism between stakeholders in border areas. Again, a very important concern. We need to actually figure out how to basically make some sort of strategies wherein these collaborations can be done. There is also gap in accessibility, transport, and economic infrastructure. And because some of the districts also come in aspirational district. In fact, there is no aspirational district in Arunachal Pradesh, but in rest of the states, we have seen that these are the gaps which definitely are one of the roadblocks for promotion of tourism. And there is also less expertise and knowledge in terms of what is required to supply quality products and services in tourism in the border areas. So the way forward is that immediately, in fact, we'll be coming out with a report post this webinar after the deliberations of the expert speakers, whatever they tell us. So there has to be strong interconnections, collaboration between Ministry of Tourism, state tourism development boards, community participation, and industry participation. All the Ministry of Tourism and state tourism development boards are doing excellent work. There's a lot of synergy. But in terms of industry participation and local community participation, more traction is required in this area. And border tourism, in fact, it entails more of strategic planning, because a lot of other policies are also related with this. So it enables that we need to consider all relevant data for all state of the play analysis. We have to define the tourism development vision in a more holistic manner, considering the USPs of this district. And also we need to actually figure out the key priorities and also clear action plan with timelines, which should be followed by all the actors and all the stakeholders. And besides ensuring this strategic planning, it is very important to ensure participation of the local population in the entire process, because in fact, the rationale of developing border tourism is actually to uplift the socio-economic condition of the people. And that can only be manifested if the local communities are involved from the inception in the strategy till the execution of the entire plan. So this is in short a presentation from PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry on border tourism. And in fact, we look forward to having more experts, consultative meeting with stakeholders. In fact, the webinar, since we have many domain experts who will be dwelling and giving insights on this important area, we will come out with a thought paper and we will submit it to Ministry of Tourism as well as State Development Board to actually take some of the important actionable points. So thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Now with this note, I'd like to invite Ms. Ayushi Sudan, IAS Deputy Commissioner, Anjaw District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, to kindly share her thought process with the august audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. A very good afternoon to all the esteemed panelists. I'll only touch about Anjaw. Anjaw is basically the easternmost district of the country. Very sparsely populated. It has a population of about 21,000, which covers 6,400 square kilometer. As you had mentioned in your presentation, sir, it is very picturesque, full of virgin landscapes, beautiful green valleys, and vibrantly blue rivers. As also correctly mentioned in the presentation, the popular destinations in Anjaw district which have actually gained quite a lot of traction in the last couple of years, especially the last 1 year. They are Walong, Kibitu, Kaho, and Dong. In terms of border tourism, not only do we offer the viewpoint of the international border with our neighboring district, that is China, we are also the easternmost district. So Dong per se is actually it is also called the sunrise village of the country, wherein the first rays of the sun are received every day. And that is something that was captured by a lot of campaigns also. For example, the Volkswagen car campaign, they also captured this beautiful sunrise point. And this particular trek, which is a 1.5 trek from Telam, it is very popular among the tourists and has actually gained a lot of traction on the social media also very lately. So this one particular destination, which is Dong, a proper camping site, this is very crucial for Anjar district. Secondly, as also rightly mentioned, Anjar has a history of the 1962 war. A large portion of the district was actually captured also. And there are beautiful, beautiful historical elements to that. For example, if we go to Namti Valley, we can actually, there is a place called a Tiger's Mouth where several hundreds of Chinese soldiers were killed by the Indian Army. We have beautiful bunkers all across from Walong to Kibitu to Kaho, which still remain and are actually they have quite a lot of potential for bunker tourism per se, if they're properly lighted and the vegetation around them is cleared. Then the interesting aspect is the story of the war also around how Namti Plain, Helmet Top, and Walong. It is very crucial. So to depict this, we actually this time post the visit of the Chief Secretary to the district, project was sanctioned also in Anjar, which is a light and sound show in Walong at the War Memorial. There's a War Memorial there, a very famous War Memorial there. And therein we will actually depict the story of the war, the 1962 war over there with the help of light and sound show. Other than that, the area of Walong, Kibitu, Kaho, and Dong, they also host the smallest tribe of Arunachal Pradesh, which is the Mayor community. It is a small Buddhist community of only 800 people on the Indian side. So, and extremely hospitable and extremely very beautiful culture. And they are the actually pinnacle of any development activity that can be taken up in the future, or in fact is being taken up as of now. So it also, in addition to whatever I have said, 3 of these villages, which is Kaho, Mishai, and Kibitu, as you had rightly mentioned in the presentation, they are also being slated for model villages. Model villages in the sense that the state government is intent on providing the best of the amenities in these 3 villages, as also projection towards the other side, that and also to project Kaho as the first village of the country, because it is the first village that you will get post from China. So in that sense, there's also a lot of scope for ecotourism, especially bird watching. So in terms of bird watching, it is in fact only this year, one very extremely protected species was identified in Anjar district, which was covered in a lot of social media and national newspapers also. It is called the white-bellied heron. A total of 150 birds in the entire world, and 4 of them were found, 2 of them were found in Anjar district itself. And it became a popular attraction for the tourists. And this Walong area, especially in the Helmet Top, they are on the bird watchers list of places to go as well, which is very natural. A lot of beautiful monals, now these herons, which have come across. So what we can actually, in terms of the future development course of Anjar district, these bird watching trails or bird watching festivals, they need to be developed as a part of our ecotourism project as well. Apart from, of course, the eco trails that we will take up in the near course of future. Anjar is also very unique in the sense that it is the only district in the country which shares a border with both China and Myanmar. It lies at the tri-junction of India, China, and Myanmar. So not only China border tourism, but also Myanmar border tourism can be developed over here. China border tourism has already taken a lot of traction in the last few years because of Kibitu, Kaho, Dong, etc. But Burma tourism potential is also there, and there are a few trekking routes, especially, which can be developed along this border, and which are extremely like there are certain impassable passes also there, and for that also, like for example, there is a Hoot Pass. There is again a popular trek. Beautiful flora and fauna is found over there. Certain aphrodisiacs, hulok gibbons, Mishmi tapiens, etc., etc. So again, as in terms of say local trekking and eco trails, those they have actually a high potential. Also, the limitation that Anjar faces the most is that of connectivity. Connectivity both in terms of the road infrastructure and also telecom connectivity. Road infrastructure, although like the projects are going on and we expect that in a couple of years we will have good roads till the border point, and there will be so that will be seamless. But in terms of telecom, we do not have any connectivity in border areas. For example, Balong, Kibitu, Kaho, Chaglagam, any connectivity. There is no connectivity in this, and no internet, no phone, nothing. So like when the tourist goes there, that is definitely a limitation that he feels when he goes over there, and because he cannot use his phone, he cannot connect with his family. Although like a few BBNL VSATs have been installed and we encourage them to use it, but still it becomes difficult for the tourists. Homestays are a huge opportunity in Anjar. Two of the homestays in Walong, they have been running very, very well in Anjar. They have been earning good. They have been developed by the locals with their own initiative, and mostly these are the only places to stay. And in fact, we have also identified quite a few, and we have submitted to the state government also to provide certain help to the local population so that they can actually build some more homestays, because that is very important in these parts of the country, so that the people who come here get a taste of the local culture, the local cuisine, the local ways and traditions of the Mayor community. That is very crucial. So that itself, Anjar also has a great potential in terms of adventure sports, although that is yet to actually start. There have been a few rafting expeditions in the past, but nothing as of like no professional services are being provided as of now. We have potential for say zip lining, river rafting, paragliding, etc., etc. And some of them have actually, like the feasibility reports of that, they have actually shown they're pretty good. Other than that, in terms of developing border tourism, we have experienced a lot of like good civil military cooperation also. Army has also stepped forward to help us in actually creating certain amenities for the tourists who come here, and they have been very hospitable themselves to the tourists, because since this is a very remote district, it is difficult to actually for the administration, or in fact for the government, to actually cater to everyone. So Army has also actually stepped forward in a lot of ways. For example, they have built beautiful viewpoints themselves on their own initiative in certain parts like Kaho, Kibitu, etc. They're building a tourist facilitation center in Walong. Again, the light and sound show that we are going to have in Walong, we are getting all the content and everything from the Army itself, and we will hand it over to them to run it, so that there is some activity that can be done. Basically, for any border tourism to survive, we need like a list of activities that could be done once you are there in the border area. So that is very crucial. So for example, if a person is coming to Anjaw, he can go to a trek to Dong and then come experience that beautiful sunrise, come back, then have some nice local cuisine in his local homestay, go to the TFC, go for river rafting or for the light and sound show, etc., etc. Um, in terms of how, like the picturesque landscapes, I don't think we have any dearth of beauty in Anjaw. What lacks here is the level, definitely, of the development that is there. There haven't been many entrepreneurs there have been a few, but not many in the tourism sector. Some people have taken wonderful initiatives. Most of the tourism resorts, they are government resorts which have leased out to locals, who are running them. And so the limitations are basically lack of development, in the sense of we have some poor roads here. Sometimes the district also gets cut off, and also the bad connectivity. That is the limitation, I would say. And other than that, I think Anjaw has a brilliant potential to actually get ahead in the tourism sector. It also needs certain promotional activities, say along the Assam Arunachal um, border, so that we can actually attract these particular, we need to target these particular tourists, Assam and West Bengal, etc. So I think that could be a potential like target tourist population that we can look at for Anjaw. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for highlighting the USPs of Anjaw district, and also you very likely, in fact, you highlighted some of the issues and challenges also. I'm sure that once the report is made and sent it to respective departments and ministries, some course selection definitely can be done, whatever, to whatever extent it can be done. Thank you very much indeed. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Minga Sherpa, IAS Deputy Commissioner, the Dibang Valley District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, to kindly share his thoughts with the august audience. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all the esteemed panelists present on today's webinar. I have a small PPT. I will just share it with you. Primarily, Dibang Valley district is one of the most remotest district in the country. It is roughly 9,000 square kilometer in size, making it the largest district in Arunachal Pradesh. It was also the last district headquartered in India which was connected by road. The main issues with the district is its remoteness, due to its being extremely far away from the major population centers and a very unreliable road network. The main issue with the tourism happens is that the tourists are not able to reach the site. So primarily our goal currently is to ensure that connectivity is made available properly to Dibang Valley district. And second, when the connectivity is made available to Dibang Valley district, there is minimal tourist infrastructure which can be utilized to by the tourist. Dibang Valley district is also an extremely strategic district because it shares more than 300-kilometer long border with China. What is our strengths? Dibang is also home to the Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary, which is part of the Dibang Biosphere Reserve, which is also a biodiversity hotspot. We have high altitude lakes, untouched forests, multiple waterfalls, trekking routes, and most of these routes are unexplored because the district, the road connectivity in district is extremely poor. And ahead of the district headquarters, we have just two main tracks which are going to our two circle headquarters. And beyond them, we have a huge amount of area which is yet to be explored. However, during the last couple of years, due to multiple roads being sanctioned in the Indo-China border road project of the Ministry of Home Affairs and the other roads under the Ministry of Defense, we will be having multiple, more than 300 kilometers of road being built in our district, which will help us tap these areas which were otherwise untouched. I'm just sharing some of the photographs from in and around Anini. As you can see, there are multiple very beautiful sites. However, because of lack of road connectivity, these sites currently take days and days to reach. However, as you see, whenever multiple times, whenever we are doing any work, we are coming across wonderful sites. So whenever we are sometimes making a PMGS5 road, accidentally we stumble upon a waterfall. So, and in terms of tourism infrastructure, whether it is trekking, adventure tourism, and likewise, we have all sort of things to offer. We have treks which can be for beginners. We can have treks which are for moderate, and we have some of the most difficult treks which are currently undertaken in coordination with the Indian Army and the ITBP. The primary scopes of tourism in Dibang Valley district are: first is an ethno-tourism village with modern amenities, in the sense that the local Idu Mishmi tribe, the tradition and the cultures of the Idu Mishmi tribe are extremely informative if to watch the traditions, the pujas. The tribes have someone called a Ivu, who is a local priest or a shaman. And there are multiple, their traditions, their folklore and the storytelling. When it comes to adventure tourism, we have scopes in river rafting, river crossing, zip lining, bungee jumping, and paramotoring. And an initial trial, parasailing, paramotoring event was tried at Anini. It was successful, however, because currently the main issue is with the tourists, as I said earlier. And wildlife and ecotourism an extremely important role to play in the development of tourism here. As out of the 9,000 square kilometer of the district area, 4,000 kilometer plus is within the Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary. As I talked about the wildlife tourism scope, our Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary also has one of the highest number of tigers recorded in Arunachal Pradesh. As you can see in the current photo, there's the photo of a tiger which was recorded within the wildlife sanctuary by a camera trap. Then we have another very famous animal within our wildlife sanctuary is the Mishmi Takin. We have red panda and also a newly discovered species of the Mishmi flying fox, which is Mishmi flying squirrel, which is available in the Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary. So when it comes to the flora and fauna, there's extremely wide diversity yet to be explored, whether it is birds, animals, trees. However, as my previous panelists had said, the primary issue in most of the border districts in Arunachal is extremely poor cellular and internet connectivity. As a matter of fact, Dibang Valley district just currently has 2 mobile towers, which are also 2G. The second thing is because till now the tourism aspect has not been explored. Therefore, the youth here, they are untrained and unemployed and do not know how to take advantage of the tourism opportunities. And primary importance in any tourism initiative is that it should be people driven. As can be seen in many cases, we have had multiple tourism related infrastructure, but largely they are lying unused because they were not people driven. Anything which is more, not driven by the people and does not have any, awareness in it, it will be into failure. Last but not the least is an extremely minimal tourist related infrastructure. Even if we have a lot of tourists coming into town, the primary issues of accommodating them. Currently, the maximum number of tourists are accommodated in a circuit house. There are some homestays and other accommodation coming up. But this is a primary issue as a large number of tourists cannot be accommodated in the district currently. In this regard, we're trying to work with the local entrepreneurs. We're trying to fund homestays under the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Swavlamban Yojana. We are trying to promote tentage. We are trying to promote, as per the government of Arunachal Pradesh's tourism departments, caravan tourism. We are trying to promote caravan camping sites, etc. And the most important problem which is faced by the district is the lack of exposure of the district on a tourism map. What happens is that still many people within Arunachal and outside the state are still not aware of the district and what treasures it holds. Some of the ideas which we had ideated and we are trying to on our level at the district level and at the level of the department, which we have requested department is to have basically expose the district in the sense what are available in the district, how we can basically create a buzz around the district. In this regard, we've many times whenever we have any of our local festivals, we try to get bloggers to come to Anini. We've also had, in coordination with the Indian Army, we got a trekking expedition to one of the remotest army camps at Andrela Umtar. We've also tried, in coordination with the Forest and Environment Department of Arunachal Pradesh, to have a bird watching butterfly event. We've also tried on our own to have a professional camera crew come and cover the entire festival and the wildlife and etc. And the most important thing currently we are engaged is in handholding the budding local entrepreneurs, whether it is in purchasing of river rafting equipment, whether it is in operationalization of homestays, whether it is in hospitality management. Again, in coordination with the army and the ITBP, we're trying to get together some youngsters and then get them trained in hospitality management in Kolkata, Guwahati, so that whenever these people open a hospitality related thing, so they have the basic, know how to get around to do it. And lastly, we are trying to create a minimal tourist infrastructure so that whenever tourists come, we can get them accommodated and they don't have to just rely on the one single circuit house. This is one of the successful ventures which has been carried out by a local trekking group that I wanted to share. These photos are from an area called the Area 7 Lakes. It's an area of 7 high altitude lakes. It's a trek of more than 10 days. So our group of local officers and businessmen, they got together and they have explored this very beautiful area. And now they are running a very successful model whereby they have set up camps along the road and they take tourists on this very hard and enduring trek. And it is slowly becoming a buzz in the social media as well. And I'm happy to say that we as district administration are trying to provide them all the support that we can. We've also got under operations of the Indian Army, we're trying to provide them with trekking equipment and etc. And also training with regard to things like rock climbing, rope fixing, etc. Lastly, again, we are trying to, with with all the resources we have at our level, trying to create more and more facilities for the people to enjoy. Because primarily, currently, when person reaches Dibang Valley, apart from the treks, apart from these things, there's no other social activity which can engage you. So we are trying, especially under the corporate social responsibility of the NHIDCL, we have proposed for a 20 feet long national flag along with a small park, so that we have some with an open gym, so that people have something others as well, other activities to do when they reach here. We are also in, as my previous speaker has spoken about, we are basically engaging the Indian Army and the ITBP because it is crucial that they support the ventures in these border areas, especially in regard to these trekking trails. A lot of these trekking trails are lead to routes within the near the LSE. So we're trying our best to get in touch with them, so to see which routes can be used without hampering any national security. And also we're trying to support and help the local entrepreneurs and in going ahead with the projects. As I said, this is the photo of just the local Idu shaman priest performing a ritual, which can serve as a very good cultural and ethnic tourism in this aspect about how the Idu traditions continue to live in today. Then, as I said, the local craftsmen, they're extremely important from an ethno-tourism aspect. And then, as I had spoken about how this started, first we started a parasailing initiative whereby we have got together the Paragliding Association of Arunachal to come and have a trial session here. And also, we are trying to support entrepreneurs by providing them crafts and other things so that they can continue these adventure activities on their own on a sustainable basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherpa, for such a beautiful presentation. In fact, the picturesque locations that you have put there, mind-boggling, and it actually, encourages everybody to visit the Dibang Valley. And also, you rightly mentioned some of the important USPs. I'm sure that if population at large, even in India as well as globally, they are made to understand about the USPs of all the important areas of the Dibang Valley, I'm sure there'll be more footfall. And in fact, I was under the impression that shaman, rituals are performed only in Amazon forests. That shaman people actually go to Amazon forest, especially for these shaman rituals. But surprising that in the Dibang Valley, there are shamans who actually do all these things, because shaman actually gives that ecstatic, sort of experience, which actually you are in trance state for a few hours, and you can understand your internal perspectives. And I'm sure that the shamans, that many people are hunting for shamans, it needs to be promoted, way in, way out in a more, broader perspective. Thank you, DC sir, for sharing the perspective of the Dibang Valley. In fact, we had Mr. Mito Dechi, also Deputy Commissioner, Shiomi District, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. But because of connectivity issues, there is some bandwidth problem right now there, so we cannot connect him. So once he is there on the platform, we will definitely invite him to has his views and for the promotion of tourism in the Shiomi District. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Nirmalya Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary is the chairman of Northeast States Chapter, Indian Association of Tour Operators, IOTO. Over to you, Mr. Chaudhary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all the respected speakers before me. I hope you all can hear me clearly.
Yes, yes, sir, you are audible. Perfect.
All right, thank you. As is very clear from all the presentations of the previous panelists, there is no question about the possibilities that exist in Anjao and the nearby Dibang Valley districts. Possibilities are immense, and the challenges are very well established. Also, everybody identified it already. It is primarily the connectivity. Once road transport, road leading to these destinations becomes better, it is but natural that more number of people would start visiting these districts. Absolutely sure about that. But along with that, there are certain other things that needs to be addressed. Some of them has already been spoken about. Internet and telephone connectivity has been spoken about, absolutely essential for whether it is activity focused holidays or for leisure holidays. Keeping in touch on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, in fact, is so popular among visitors, and it is part of life for most of us. And those are things that needs to be.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
All
can
right.
hear you.
Okay. All right. I was just going to speak about the accommodation facility requirements of that area. May I propose that the district commissioners present here consider creating a PPP model by forming village communities as a cooperative and inviting there are lots of unique accommodation facilities that already exist in various parts of Arunachal Pradesh itself, as well as other areas of Northeast India. And I'm sure if a community cooperative is created, which goes into an agreement with a private developer to come and prepare a property which respects the local architectural traditions, builds a property that blends with the local traditional buildings, builds, for example, water harvesting facilities, solar power facilities, and enter into an agreement which lasts for say 15 to 20 years lease, whereby the promotion of the property and running of the property becomes the responsibility of the property developer, and they make sure that at least 75% of the employees are from the local communities, so that and slowly, once they start doing better, they can be included in the management training positions of also. This is a good way of bringing in expertise, local expertise, people who have done it before. They come in, they develop destination and facilities, accommodation facilities, and after a period of 15 or 20 years, they step out and the local community continues running it. Or if the local community feels that the arrangement with the private operator is a fruitful one, they can continue with the arrangement. I personally feel this destination, Anjao district, and along with Dibang, etc., nearby districts, it can easily be developed for a visit of at least 7 to 8 nights. And for that, we need a lot of small, not too difficult walking trails, cycling trails, walking trails, and water sports facilities, zip lines, zorbing, etc., has already been mentioned. And for these, there are already training institutes that are there in Arunachal Pradesh and other parts of Northeast India. Experts can be brought in to work with the local communities and develop these facilities and run these facilities along with the locals for a period of time so that they become proficient and continue doing so in future. For developing homestay facilities, district authorities can look at providing small amounts of loans to households so that they can add maybe 1 or 2 rooms along with their house with proper Western facilities, with other amenities, so that with Western toilets, etc. So it becomes a supplementary income, and also for the visitors it will be fantastic to be able to communicate and live with the locals, eat the local food and interact with the local host communities. For birding and wildlife, again, there is a lot of expertise that already exists in the private sector in Arunachal Pradesh and the neighboring states of Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, everywhere. I suggest that people who are doing this business, engaged with this business of wildlife and birding holidays for years in this area itself, maybe they can be invited to spend a small amount of time, maybe week, 10 days, accompanied by the local youth, so that they can also see and interact with the experts and learn the first basic ropes of it. And maybe we can also enter into an agreement with wildlife resort owners of various parts of Arunachal Pradesh or Assam or other places in the Northeast India, whereby local youth can be sent there to work for 1 winter of 6 months, so that they get first-hand knowledge of working in a business environment where they will interact with visitors from within the country as well as from other parts of the country. I am sure with the proper platform created, a lot of property owners, wildlife resort owners would be very interested to facilitate this training for the local youths of Anjao, Dibang Valley districts. Along with this, the local arts and crafts, local weavings, dances, music, these can be crafted in such a way, because when we operate tours in many parts of Northeast India in the evening, there is hardly much to do. And in the evenings, we make sure that our guests, whether they're from the country or from abroad, get to interact with the local elders, get to learn their history, their folklores, get to interact with children. In certain areas, we have also organized, we made sure our clients knew from beforehand, so that in the evening, when they sit down with the local children of the village, they are divided into small groups, and they interact and also learn different ways of life. They, with the local children, talk about their daily way of life, and they learn from the visitors about their. So these sort of direct interaction with host community, between host community and visitors, are so important. And there are many ways that these can be developed. The local expertise within the state of Arunachal Pradesh and within the region of Northeast is immense. It just needs a platform where these come together and work together to develop this for mutual benefit. And I'll be happy to help in any sort of interaction with the members of tourism community across Northeast, and make sure that things start happening there.
Right, Mr. Chaudhary, thank you indeed very much. Thank you for your encouragement, and we look forward to your support. As you said that you'll be happy to participate in any of such important endeavors. We are in fact very lucky to have domain expert like you in this session. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Rupinder Barar. Ms. Rupinder Barar is Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, and good afternoon to all my colleagues from the government, all the stakeholders, and a lot of you who've actually become friends more than I would say stakeholders. So very happy to be as part of a discussion on border tourism. And needless to say, border tourism is of immense interest to the Government of India, and the Ministry of Home particularly has been taking a lot of interest in the development of border tourism. And now why border tourism? Because typically what has happened, and I think that had a lot to do with the role of connectivity, because there wasn't enough connectivity to far-flung areas. And so a lot of these areas have kind of sort of remained off the main part of tourist activity. And therefore that brings me to my first point. You have already, in fact, I think Dr. Singh, you have pretty much covered all the points in the initial part that you address. The DCs from Anjao and Dibang have also already stated the kind of attractions that exist, the challenges also. The first and the foremost requirement for tourism to take up a prominent place anywhere is connectivity. And therefore, the thrust that the government is currently having in terms of improving the road networks and also improving the availability of flight options, both in terms of creating airstrips and having sector flights, becomes a very important initiative. As you're all aware, RCS Udan 4, which Ministry of Civil Aviation is taking up, is with a huge focus on the northeastern part of the country, and Arunachal has a significant presence in the Udan 4 destinations for connectivity. In terms of roads, also there is a lot of work going on. In fact, we have a meeting coming up with the MORTH next week to take on further the review. We've been in touch with state administrations to understand the last mile connectivity to not only new destinations, but also some of the older destinations, but where the road quality has not improved or has gone bad over a period of time. So roads and air connectivity are a major thrust area as far as the central government is concerned. And it's a good time, I would say, therefore, to be in tourism where the government is focusing so much on these things. The other part of the connectivity, someone has already pointed out already, is the digital part of the connectivity, which is so very essential in today's state, because not only do you need the hard infrastructure connectivity, but you need the digital, because not only is it important for a tourist to be able to access a lot of services that you offer, but once he gets there, his or her sense of security because of the sheer ability to be able to connect is a very important confidence creator. And digital is also offering so many other options in terms of VR experiences and sheer outreach that gets created in terms of promotional material that is available on digital platforms. So the role of digital connectivity and having digital highways literally cannot be overemphasized. And that's also an area, I think, in which India has come a long way. But as we can see, with one of our colleagues not being able to join right now because of poor connectivity, that itself tells us that there is still more to be done on that front. But we need to, I think, identify these three key areas of connectivity and keep working between the center and the state administration to ensure seamless connectivity. The second part that comes, and that is again a thrust area of the central government, is capacity building and skill development. Because that, unless we don't scale up the quality of our skills and the quality of the human resource, then we will not be over a period of time find ourselves competitive. So it's extremely imperative for us and all the stakeholders, including the state administration, to draw up very specific plans of creating value, because not only will it go to create employment, but it will create meaningful employment. Because to create a human resource which can fetch that kind of employability value in the market is also extremely important as we take tourism forward in India. And the other part of capacity building also, and more so in the kind of areas that we are looking at, is the homestay owners, the bed and breakfast owners, and capacity building the service providers themselves as to what are the kind of benchmarks that they should be adhering to, so that you may be a very simple outfit, but how to adhere to not only COVID-based protocols, but also the generic protocols that are required in the industry of hospitality is something that requires a lot more working in terms of creating value along the various tourist destinations that my friends from Anjao and Dibang have already mentioned about. Because a crucial question that comes back to us when we post out a lot of extremely beautiful looking destinations from Arunachal is that, are there enough stay options? The first question invariably always is, how do I get there? And the second is, how do I find a good place to stay at? We, in fact, from the feedback that we get, people are ready to pay quite a lot these days. Things have really graphed up. And even within the domestic market, there is a lot of appetite that we are noticing. People are willing to not only experiment, they are willing to spend on those experiments. But they definitely don't want to come back disappointed. And in terms of the domestic traveler also, it is no longer a different need that is felt. If I am going to receive a certain service in any other part of the world at a particular cost, I shall be paying for that in India too. But I'm expecting the same. And therefore, for us, it is very important to understand in the industry that I cannot take even my domestic tourist as a casual tourist. He or she has become a very demanding and a very discerning traveler. And therefore, I think that's another area where we as the central ministry, the state administration, and all the stakeholders must work together to ensure quality. Because we will have to create very high standard benchmarks and not accept the around the corner or fly by night kind of operations that could have existed and survived maybe in earlier times. But in today's world, with the digital outreach available, pictures coming out of hospitality units immediately, the kind of toilets, the kind of kitchen, the kind of cleanliness, we even get pictures of the kind of nails that are being maintained sometimes by the staff in a particular place, becomes extremely important to focus on. Though they on surface may look like very small things, but they go a long way in attracting and attaching quality to our industry. And I would, hugely emphasize that to everyone here, that we must not lose sight of quality as we develop more and more units of tourism, which also brings me to the related subject of ensuring that we spread out our tourism. When we are talking of tourism along the border areas, we are also talking of opening newer kind of areas. At the same time, it is imperative that we do not turn these places into dens where there are thousands of cars that suddenly start landing up just because we have a good quality road. So the very reason that a traveler is going there today shall get lost. And we all, I think, are witness to so many hill stations in India, which a few decades back used to be considered relatively isolated and far-flung. But if we look at the kind of, the kind of degradation that has happened to some of these places is also something that will have to be kept in a very, very clear perspective right from the beginning. That's where the role of the state administration, because you guys are the guys on the ground. How many hotels, how many hospitality units, how many B&Bs are you going to allow in a particular area? How many restaurants are you going to allow in an area? And if you are allowing, then what is the kind of civic amenities, infrastructure that you're going to be able to provide? I think there has to be a continuous dialogue between the various agencies of the state administration, whether it be the urban, the sewage disposal, power, etc., so that over a period of time, as we go forward and develop tourism, we do not forget that it should lead to a betterment, and betterment is socio-economic betterment. And we're not just looking at economic betterment, and how to ensure, therefore, a right balance between development and not creating an overstepping of the carbon footprint in these areas. I think we in a way are fortunate that a lot of these places are going to be leapfrogging into development. And so we have the benefit of learnings of the last few decades and ensuring that we don't land ourselves into a situation where the beauty of these places gets lost and people's culture, people's heritage, which is so unique to these places, does not become like you should not be able to distinguish a place X from a city in Delhi or a restaurant in Bombay. So you don't want, I'm just going to use it as a metaphor, nothing against any entity, but you don't want every place to have a Kakeda hotel, literally. So though I'm using it metaphorically and I have nothing against Kakeda hotel, but I'm sure all of you understand what I'm trying to say, that we need to preserve the local cultures. We need to preserve them with great care. And we also do not definitely should be looking at overcrowding and over providing, because then you do run the risk of landing yourselves into a hugely overused place and coming back into an urban mess and an urban sprawl kind of a situation. So looking at organic development, looking at sustainable development, I think these are narratives that shall have to continue, and an overriding knowledge that the market has the ability to pay. Let us not lower our standards below a certain point, so that just to add numbers of footprints should not be the only way to benchmark the success of a state or a success of a tourism industry. But ensuring quality and a balanced development is something I would really, with all earnest, encourage both the industry as well as the state administrations to keep a huge focus on that part of development as we develop border tourism or tourism anywhere for that matter. So these are some of my thoughts. The central government, of course, through the Ministry of Tourism, has projects both under Swadesh Darshan and Prashad. In Arunachal, we have very recently sanctioned a project at Parshuram Kund. And we hope that as we work together with civil aviation, as well as with the roads and with all the other related ministries, we will be able to provide you with a lot more support. But reach out to us. We've had a few meetings with all of you as to where all do we need wayside amenities. And I must commend the Arunachal administration, because you have been the most proactive. I already have locations which tell me where do you need wayside amenities. I also have links from you for existing circuits that can be opened more after engaging in a conversation with the Indian Army, so that can we at least open them to domestic markets. So I have names like Margo, Thingbu, Jung, Ladatu, Mount Gorichen, Limekeng, Takshing. So a lot of places. You've been very proactive in letting us know. But I think from this point on, we'll need to take it forward with the Indian Army that if a person's KYC is done, then at least as a domestic tourist, we should be able to allow access to different parts of one's own country. And I think we should definitely work more closely on that. And with that, I would like to leave my thoughts with all of you to ponder on. And once again, thanks to PhD Chambers for taking up a subject which is very, very important at this juncture. Arunachal is one of the finest states that anyone can go to, particularly in post-COVID when we are looking at open areas, green areas. But how to really develop, I think that is a narrative that we should be discussing in the few weeks to come. I can see Nirmala there. Nirmala, in March when I was there in Guwahati, we thought we'd do something which will transform Northeast in the next 6-7 months in terms of people knowing about the option of Northeast. Well, phase 2, COVID has deferred our plans, but not deterred us. So we hope and we are sure that as we go forward, and crossing fingers, toes for now, that phase 3 doesn't really create further issues, but we'll take it as it comes. But there is certainly no lack of intent, there is no lack of intention, and there's definitely no lack of interest and energy levels. So let's take it forward, and I hope I can visit all of you soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you indeed for such a comprehensive overview, and also giving the Ministry of Tourism thought process in improving the soft infrastructure as well as hard infrastructure in border districts with special focus to Arunachal Pradesh. Thank you very much indeed for your very thoughtful deliberations. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Sudesh Poddar. Mr. Poddar is the President of Hotel and Restaurant Association of Eastern India, HRAEI. Over to you, Mr. Poddar.
Good evening, all the panelists present here. This is a very, very wonderful topic which has been taken up. See, I know whenever a person goes to a border, it thrills, it excites, it creates a current in the body of a person who is visiting the border. So I have visited Arunachal a number of times, and I have been to places like Tawang, Bomdila, Teju, Miao, Anini. So how beautiful these places are. I have seen them. Now, why tourism is not developing the way it should have developed in these places. Many of you have taken up the issue of infrastructure and rightly taken up. The most important is how to reach the destination. The second is where to stay. And the most important again is what to eat and what to see. It is so naturally beautiful that is taken care of by the nature. Now, what I think that how to reach, there are some airstrips in Arunachal which are being maintained by the military and used by the military on defense. So as Madam Brar has already mentioned, that if these airstrips can be used for the domestic tourism, then that is the fastest way to develop tourism, because road infrastructure in Arunachal will take some time to develop, and it is a hilly terrain. And even once developed, because of this rains and the weather conditions, the roads will get damaged from time to time and again needs to repair. So airstrips in different locations, like there is an airstrip in Mechuka, there is a airstrip in Teju, there is an airstrip in Walong, and there is also an airstrip somewhere near Tawang. So if this can be activated. Now, about where to stay, I strongly believe that the big hotel companies of India, they should be invited to build resorts, ecotourism places in Arunachal Pradesh, like the Taj Group, the ITC Group, or all the bigger groups in India. And if they are invited to build up resorts and hotels in these destinations, definitely a lot of people will be attracted to come there. And the government of India has to provide some kind of an incentive to the hoteliers to initially start investing in these places. Any good resort or a hotel or a ecotourism place does not take anything less than 50 crores to 150 crores to build, depending on the number of rooms and the size of the property one is building. But if you want to keep it a upmarket tourism place, it cannot be huge in size. It has to look into the local heritage, architecture, the ecology of the place, and all these things has to be taken care of. So being from the hospitality industry and president of Hotel and Restaurant Association of Eastern India, my thrust would be more on the accommodation and fooding part of the which has to be taken care of for tourists. Other aspects have already been discussed at length by the respectable panelists here. So strongly believing that the investment has to be huge on the infrastructure. Infrastructure consists of road, rail infrastructure, the accommodation infrastructure, and the tourism related activities like eco sports and other things. So Madam has already, Mrs. Brar has already said that the airstrips and the work on the road is already there in process. So investing in the hospitality sector is very important. I would like to specially mention here that very recently one tea tourism project has come up in Bengal. It is called Chia Kutir. So now this is a tea bungalow which has been again converted into a tea tourism resort, and it is a PPP model with the government of West Bengal, and they are charging 40,000, 50,000 rupees for a room night, and people are willing to spend, and they are ready to spend. And people, I tried for a room there for this weekend. It is not available. So as rightly said, that people are willing to spend for quality. And if this infrastructure are built in Arunachal, I'm sure there is a huge potential and tourism will develop. See, if we go to Switzerland, people know there is a place called Interlaken, Lucerne, but there are other places which are very high-end, studs and other places where the normal tourists do not go. The very, very high-end tourists visit these places. So we can think of Arunachal in these lines also. Not all the places in Arunachal, but some districts, some towns, some places which are of strategic importance can be developed into very, very high-end tourism spots. And for that, we need very nice air connectivity, good accommodation, and good place to eat. May it be local restaurant only, local food, and with flavor of some North Indian food, something like that. So this is all I have to say, and thank you for inviting me, and I hope all the best for Arunachal.
Thank you, Mr. Poddar. Thank you for highlighting very important facets by which we can actually improve the entire infrastructure ecosystem in Arunachal Pradesh, particularly border districts. Thank you very much. And I'll request my colleague to kindly play the videos of Arunachal Pradesh Tourism and Ministry of Tourism videos. Over to you, Ranjit. Please play videos. Sulagna, can you please play the videos?
Sir, he is doing.
Okay.
Le ma bo pie o mesi de tanko nyone ngo lu tu tung kong nyone de tanko nyone ngo le ma mang kong nyone de tanko nyone ngo nyone di mesi de tanko nyone telona ngone gejo onge telona ngo le maru ange telona ngone koda ange telona tangko nyone atungo tung ta so bu sang tu ma so tung ta pa bi sang tu ma pa nge sia pa ni no ngo griang ba dang nge ba pa ji ge di ne da ma ni olu yi ju be ju to ke ru yi ma ni tu tu ba Oni to you big, any to you big, oh Davani, Olu Jigini, oh Ivani, Olu Jimangam, oh Ivani, Olu Jibude, Olu Pavune, oh Ivani, Ajipamingo.
Thank you, thank you. I'll also request you to kindly play the other videos also. Incredible India Ministry of Tourism. Then we'll have a special address by Mr. Abu Tayang, Director, Tourism, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, immediately after this video. Yeah, Mr. Ranjit, please play other videos also. Thank you.
Incredible India.
I think we have one more video.
दिलकशी ऐसी जो भुला दे सब कुछ, ना वक्त का एहसास, ना जगह का गुमान। जिंदगी ऐसी कि बस खींचे चले आए आप, डर झिझक का ना कोई नामो निशान। सुकून ऐसा कि बातें करे आपसे, आपकी तन्हाई जहां मिल जाए आप अपने आप से और आपके एहसासों को, जिंदगी एक नहीं। खो जाइए इस दिलकश जहां में, अरुणाचल प्रदेश।
India, incredible India.
Thank you indeed. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Abu Tayang for his special address. Everybody is in fact waiting for his special address. Mr. Abu Tayang is the Director, Tourism, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Over to you.
Namaste and thank you
Namaste.
for this opportunity. Esteemed panel who's there today. First of all, it was a real good opportunity getting to hear from subject matter experts, subject matter specialists on accommodation and hotel, from the hotels, from the other part of the industry, and also good feedback from the respective DCs of two of our districts. Unfortunately, the district couldn't present their part, of course, highlighted by both the DCs in their respective districts also. I was also DC of Dibang Valley in 2010 and 2012, so I also know that district quite well. I have faced that problem myself. But regarding the discussion, I would like to add that I'm fully in agreement with our DG Madam. We should quality tourism. The district's USP should be promoted instead of trying to replicate rest of India pattern. I mean, if I was a tourist coming to Anini, why would I want to do zorbing or zip lining or ballooning? I would rather enjoy what Anini has to offer, what the district has to offer. So I think instead of we trying to replicate things from outside the state, we should more than doing that. Then we should actually be trying and promoting, preserving and promoting what the district exclusively has to offer. Anini has pristine valleys, great rivers, flora and fauna is in abundant. It's the least populated district. That's what people are looking for. They don't want. They are getting away from the crowd, and then if we give them a crowd in Anini, they're not going to come back to the district. Has to offer. The word of caution for DC Anjao that the white-bellied heron, discovery of the white-bellied heron recently was a great find. But I believe overexposure of those birds, they're very shy birds by nature, and overexposure will definitely drive the birds away. So we should try and restrict the number of people who are getting access to those areas, who are getting to photograph those birds. That should be controlled quite a lot, very strictly. We talked of a lot of infrastructure developments in the districts, although large-scale infrastructure development can't be done, but from the department side, from the state tourism department side, we have a program called the CMPVY, Chief Minister's Paryatan Vikas Yojana, where we are providing 5 lakh subsidies to homestays, restaurants, food courts, even for adventure equipment. DC Anini might like to note that we are providing that for adventure equipments like trekking. Recently, if you've seen the news, one of our youths submitted the Everest, Mr. Tagit Sorang. He is also a beneficiary on adventure equipment under CMPVY, under tourism department. He has made our department very proud. Then also we have for training facilities, we have the Shiksha Yojana, Chief Minister's Shiksha Yojana, where we are training the youths in IHMs and Foodcraft institutes. We also have our own state Foodcraft institute, where we have regular trainings in hospitality, in food and hotel management. Then, of course, we have the advanced certificate course training for adventure activities. We have partnered the NIMAS in Iran. That's a national institute which provides advanced course trainings in river rafting, paramotoring, paragliding, even scuba diving. So for training our manpower here. Then, like I keep saying in other forums too, Arunachal natural beauty is there, but we can also think of birding, butterfly, flora, angling, river rafting, such kind of activities. These activities are very niche activities, which say probably a bird found in Arunachal or even in the Mishmi Hills will not be found anywhere else in the state, not to talk of anywhere else in the country, where we can actually have a very exclusive kind of thing where niche stories would be coming. And believe me, these people who are interested in these kind of stuff are very high paying, are very dedicated people. So those are the kind of people we should welcome in our area. Since taking over as director a year ago, we have gone in for a lot of promotion for the state. We have revamped our social media presence. We have also launched series called Aroma of Arunachal. We have a land on offbeat destination in Arrive, which took part for border and culminated in Tawang in Bumla in the west. That's on the right of the western side. This was promotional media drive. We partnered with the who's who of signature motorcycle rides of the Eastern Arunachal, starting from Pasighat and culminating in Pangsao and Namsai, Pangsao Pass and Namsai. This was in partnership with Honda Motorcycles. Of course, Ayushi had mentioned about the BMW promo. Then we also are now going in for the caravan tourism. It's on a pilot project. Luxury caravans will be provided to people who are interested in self-drive travel within the state. And because of the COVID, which hit us badly, which hit the industry all across the world actually badly, in Arunachal, we have launched a program called Dekho Apna Pradesh, where homestays, tour operators, and industry people or tourism industry people were given an opportunity, state-sponsored opportunity, to travel from one place to another, thereby helping them get to know their own state better, and also to provide earning financial help to the industry people like homestays and travel tour operators. So that's what we've been doing post-COVID, and we'd like to carry this forward. Like ma'am also said, hopefully the third wave doesn't hit us too badly, and we will be open for everybody soon, I guess. We had reference to the ALGs being opened up for flights in the state. At present, Pasighat, Menchuka, and Tezu are already open for domestic flights, civilian flights, and the rest of the ALGs are also being actively considered for the domestic flights, civilian flights, which of course I would request ADG Madam through the Ministry of Tourism to also take it up with the MOD for opening up these areas. Then inviting ITC and Taj groups is also a very good suggestion from the panel. I would just like to inform you that Tawang and Dirang are going to have Taj properties very soon. It's on the verge of completion, fast, super fast mode. So then, of course, it was also suggested that luxury locations be developed which are offbeat, which can provide privacy to high-end clientele who like their privacy. Arunachal, I think, would be the best place to do all these because of the low density of population, the numerous locations which are still not where connectivity is still not there. There are places which is only connected by B there, provided we can give them facilities. These are the, we'd also request hand-holding and support from the ministry, and of course the other partners in the industry. Before I conclude, I would extend an invitation to all of you in the panel, especially Madam Brar, who's actually a college senior of mine, to visit Arunachal whenever you can, ma'am, and do let us host you all. Thank you so much.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Dang, for such a beautiful deliberations and making us all understand about the SWOT of the entire Arunachal Pradesh tourism. You have done the entire SWOT analysis, and also your important points on infrastructure are well taken off. Now with this, I request Mr. Rajan Saigal, co-chairman of Tourism Committee, to kindly give the concluding remarks and also propose the formal vote of thanks. Over to you, Mr. Saigal.
Yeah, Good day, namaskar to everyone. I think it was a great learning session. Even after spending so many years in the travel and tourism industry, what we learned today is an amazing experience. I think the main learning from today's webinar is that if we want to explore the unexplored destinations, which will be the future of domestic tourism, and later we can attract foreign tourists, I think we must focus on connectivity by road, by air, or by train, proper infrastructure, neat, clean and hygiene, comfortable stay, medical facilities, and well-trained, I can say, escort or a guide for these new areas. Also, marketing and awareness is very, very important to explore, but I totally agree with my all panelists that we should not forget the quality at the cost of quantity, because these destinations are quality destinations, and as
हमको जो बोलना था बोल गया ही।
Rajan sir, there is some disruption. I think some.
So we should promote Arunachal as a quality destination. So on behalf of PhD CCI, we would like to thank our great panel for gracing the border tourism webinar with their humble presence, suggestions, and knowledge shared. I would like to thank Mrs. Rupinder Barar, who is a guiding force behind PhD CCI Tourism Committee, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Mr. Abu Tayang, Director Tourism, Arunachal Pradesh Government. It was a great learning from you, sir. Ms. Ayushi Sudan, IAS Deputy Commissioner, Anjao District, Arunachal Pradesh. Again, very informative session with you. Then we missed Mr. Minga, I think Mr. Minga Sherpa, IAS Deputy Commissioner, Dibang, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, given a very beautiful presentation where he mentioned that they have 10 lakes. We missed Mr. Mito Dirchi, Deputy Commissioner, Shi Yomi District, Arunachal Pradesh, because of connectivity. But we'll gather that information. Then we have Mr. Nirmala Chaudhary, Chairman, Northeastern States Chapter for Indian Association of Tour Operators, Mr. Sudesh Podar, President of Hotel and Restaurant Federation of Eastern India, our Senior Vice President, Mr. Pradeep Multani, our Chairman, Anil Prasharji, Director Tourism, Jitendra Singh Ji, Sulagna Ghosh, who have worked very hard for this webinar. And, we PhD leadership for their guidance, support, and motivating us always. And with these words, like to thank once again Ministry of Tourism and Government of Arunachal Pradesh, the Tourism Board, for their support which is given to this webinar. And in PhD CCI, we believe in continuity. So our next webinar on border tourism will be on Tuesday, the 29th of January. Sulagna will share the details with you very soon. And we'll see you on the 29th of June. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Saigal, for vote of thanks. I'll invite everyone to kindly join us on 29th of June for another border state tourism webinar that is focusing on Rajasthan state. And in fact, we'll be coming out with a white paper on the discussion that have happened in this webinar. My colleague, Professor Senthil, will be preparing a white paper on this. So very soon we'll be sharing all the report along with other findings also after doing the secondary research, and also while talking to some stakeholders doing some primary research. So thank you very much again. We look forward to your continued patronage all the time in our future endeavors also. Thank you very much indeed. Namaskar and Jai Hind. Thank you very much.